And good afternoon, sports fans. Welcome back to University of Maryland Eastern Shore. You're watching Jammin with Jenks. We have a special guest today. I'm here with head coach of women's basketball, Coach Fred Batchelor. Very good dear friend and mentor to me. How you doing, Coach Batchelor? How's everything going today?
You also didn't mention your boss.
Yes, and he is my boss as well. Glad to have you on the program with us today. I'm very glad that you could take a few minutes out of your busy schedule to be with us. Now, you've been here for how long on the shore?
It's going into my 11th season.
11 years on the shore. And what have kept you here so long? What's the one thing you could tell the audience? Why do you like University of Maryland Eastern Shore?
The people. It's been a great place to be. The people. I've never thought that I would be here this long, to be honest with you. And the longer I'm here, the more comfortable I become. I think it's a great environment as far as to have a college campus and to recruit kids to. And the culture, the climate, the culture, as far as how people interact with each other, is really, really special. I think it's a special and a very unique place on the Eastern Shore.
You know, that's one of the things that I really liked about the Eastern Shore as well, Coach. You know, I've been here 10 years with you now in various capacities, and one of the reasons I wanted to return back to the university is just for that main factor, the people. When I came back here, even though I didn't know you, you took me in under your wing, but a lot of people that I've been in contact with before, they pretty much was like, hey, what do you need, what do you want? And that's one of the things that I love about the University of Maryland Eastern Shore is the people here as well. Let's talk about this upcoming season for you and everything. You were voted 9th in the conference this year. You return a lot of players. What's your outlook for the upcoming season?
Well, we're very motivated by being selected 9th with 10 returning players. You know, we accept that as a challenge. We're looking forward to the season. We're looking forward to getting into non-league. But when we get into league play, I think we have something to prove. And I think our young ladies are up for the challenge. So we're really excited about where we are as far as the growth and development of our program. And we're looking forward to competing against some of the other programs to prove that we're really better than a ninth spot.
I hope so, too, as your assistant coach. Still focusing on your team a little bit here. What's one interesting thing you want our national audience to know about your team?
One of our biggest goals is an academic goal. We are really encouraged and motivated to be recognized as one of the premier programs in the country from an academic standpoint. Our team GPA last year was a 3.2, which we all look at and we say we know we need to be above a 3.5. And I think our kids have accepted that challenge. They're holding each other accountable. They're meeting on a regular basis on their own to help their fellow student athletes out, to help them attain the highest academic standards that we can while at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. So I think the one thing that people don't see or don't know about our kids is that they're highly motivated academically. And I think that it's only going to prepare them for the real world once they graduate.
Now, let's talk about where you've come from a little bit. You've attended college at Valley Forge Christian College, or now it's Valley Forge University that it's called. How attending that university prepared you as a head coach and in life as well?
Well, I played for some special coaches, Coach Dominic Mione and Mark Engel, two coaches I played for. Was very fortunate to have, when its coaching change came, I didn't know how I was going to handle losing my first coach because he really changed my life in regard to the things that he taught me. He really kind of helped me to understand what it meant to be someone who embodied character and to be someone that you could depend on. I learned a lot of basketball, but I learned more about being a man from playing for Coach Mione. And that whole experience, and then having Coach Engel come in the final 2 years, that whole experience at Valley Forge Christian College really helped prepare me spiritually. It also helped prepare me professionally. We had a dress code. We had certain things, criteria that we had to hold on to, which was a little bit different than your regular college student athlete. And that only helped me. I don't know if I would have done or be where I am today if I had not attended Valley Forge Christian College. And the confidence that it gave me on the floor playing at that level, I believe that it was one of the things that has helped me to continue to be successful in other areas of my life.
Now, having those two coaches in your life, as you are a head coach, do you see the similarities of some of the things they were trying to teach you that you're trying to implement to your players?
Yes, one of the biggest things that I never forget, we lost a championship game, and the biggest thing that I remember, and Coach Mione had coached me for 2 years, and we lost my senior year in the national championship game, and the only thing I could think about was that we lost not doing the little things. And he used to always say that there's nothing bigger than the little things, and I can't. Going into our preparation for our game against Georgetown, we come off a win the other night against Wilmington, where I thought our girls played very, very well, and had a big win. It was a lot to feel good about, but it was those little things that I felt we had to address, and that's why we spent a good 40 minutes in the film room this morning looking at the little things that we know are going to hurt us when we play against teams like Georgetown and Virginia Tech. So those are the things that I learned the most from the coaches that I played for, was the details of what it takes to be successful.
They sound like two very high character individuals. Um, what made you want to be a coach? Was it being under their leadership, things like that, or was it something other than that that drove you to want to be a head coach?
Uh, I I love the game. I love the game. I always wanted to be a part of the game. I feel fortunate. I feel very fortunate and blessed to be doing this as a profession. To have an opportunity to coach a game, at 48 years old, and that to me is special and unique. What I've come to really appreciate, which I didn't really know how much I really did enjoy, was helping and developing young people. That has become the motivating factor in everything that I do as a basketball coach. The opportunity to develop young people, help them, assist them, and in this challenging world that they're going to face, and give them the skills and the confidence and the wherewithal, and challenge them in little things right now that I know is going to help them to be successful in life. So it wasn't just, I think it was all the coaches in my life. My high school coach, who I still talk to regularly. We get off the phone, he tells me he loves me. I tell him I love him. Duke Cerati, a guy who I played for in high school, who taught me a lot about toughness. I wasn't a great player in high school, and he made me tough. He taught me toughness. And it's the same characteristics that I instill in my own children, the things that I learned from him. So, my coaches have definitely had an impact, or made an impact on me wanting to coach and develop young people. And if I can give young people the same thing I got from them, then I know it'll be a benefit to them in their lives.
Talking about the type of player you became under Coach Cerati, what type of player were you? Especially, let's talk about in your college days, things like that.
Well, I think I went. I was sold on going somewhere and being a big fish in a small pond, and that was probably the best decision that I made as far in the recruitment process. I know where I wanted to go. I actually wanted to attend an HBCU in high school. For some reason, when I was in Buffalo, I've always had an affinity for the HBCU experience, and I wanted to attend a HBCU college. And my coach told me at that point, no, you're not going there. You're going to go to an environment where I know somebody's going to keep their hands on you, their eyes on you, and you're going to be monitored every day, every minute, and there's going to be other requirements. And he also knew that I had been raised with a level with the spiritual component in my life, that it would be an easy adjustment for me, and then putting in the right situation, in the right environment, that it would breed that. And going to Valley Forge Christian College did that for me on a personal level, spiritual level, but also playing. It was a great decision because I was able to go in and play right away, and I feel like I improved as I was there, and I became a better player in college than I was in high school, and it was because I went to a smaller place. And so I had a great experience, and I believe that the success that I had on the floor uh, carried over to my success, like I said, in my life and my family, with how I go about doing things, the confidence that I got from it, and just putting in a position to be a leader as a point guard was huge. And I took advantage of that, and I thank God for the opportunities that I had and the players I played with and the coaches that I had. You're watching Jammin with Jenks at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore.
You must have been some special type of player, because something that we found out about you is that you're inducted into the Hall of Fame at Valley Forge University. Talk about that experience and when you found out that your name was going to be placed on the wall and people would see this forever.
It was a great honor. I've always, when you're playing, you always want to, you think about those things. At some point, will I be recognized? And I was always a role player. I never was someone that was the star of the team coming out of high school. And going to college, I still wasn't. I played with a guy who was the all-time leading scorer, and I became the all-time leading assist person because he was the all-time leading scorer. I just passed him the ball. But I think my coaches really helped me to get the most out of my experience. I worked hard, and I've developed a passion for wanting to succeed and to be recognized. And I went to a great situation to be able to do that. If I had gone to a bigger school, maybe that would not have happened. But being where I was, it allowed me an opportunity to develop as a player and more so as a leader and being a point guard, which I also think has helped me in being a leader as a coach.
And Coach Batchelor, one of the things that you mentioned just a few seconds ago, you talked about your experiences playing at Valley Forge Christian College. What about the relationships that you've established with those coaches and players or your teammates? Do you still have relationships with those individuals, and how special are they to you?
Yes, very. My coaches, we speak on a regular basis. I've been very fortunate that one of my last coach, Mark Engel, actually lives up in Delaware, and I'm due him and his wife a phone call. We were classmates. He actually married. He was younger. He was only 25 years old when he came to be my head coach. So we kind of grew up together. I was a junior, and we developed a relationship, which I thought was more of a friendship than a coaching relationship, but I think I knew how to allow him to be my coach. And the relationship that I've established with some of my friends, it's been 30 years since I've been in school now, I think, which is every time I say that, yeah, that's just about right, since I went to college. So, and I still have a couple people that I talk to regularly. One of my classmates called me the other day about something she was dealing with her son, and we talked, and I gave her some advice. And with Facebook and everything, you throw up, I throw up a little something and people make comments and they make you out to be greater than you were. So when I go back for homecoming, I never play because I don't ever want them to show who I really was. I let the legend live. They go by what they think I look like 30 years ago. So I don't remind them of who I actually was. Having those relationships with my classmates, my teammates, they're still teammates. Dan Boothman is one, a close friend of mine. That we still stay in touch. And I actually talked to the athletic director at Valley Forge just the other day because we had a young man that I referred to Valley Forge from here, and he was trying to get in touch with them. So there's still a major connection with where I went to school, with my coaches, and with my ex-teammates.
Now, speaking of relationships, staying on that subject, talk about your relationships with your former players and how special that is to you. I've heard several former coaches talk about it's not the championships that you win and things like that and the celebrations, but it's just the relationships that you have with the individuals that you come in contact with on a day-to-day basis. Talk about that a little bit for us.
Well, I think when it's all said and done, our body of work on this earth is all going to be based on our relationships with people, whether it be with your mother, your father, your wife, your children, your coworkers, your boss. It's about relationships, and I try to keep that as a primary focus when I'm dealing with these young people, because we do have a job to do. We're a Division I level program. It's a business. We are expected to produce on the floor. We're expected to be successful. We're expected to bring a level of success to the institution. But at the same time, I think it's not at the cost of relationships with young people. I think that's the biggest thing that we have, the biggest challenge we have, and it's the greatest. It's the greatest reason for why we do what we do. I'm very fortunate to have some great relationships with my past players, and that's not with all of them. There's some players that, I haven't talked to since I coached them. But there's other players that I talk to on a regular basis, many of them, and sometimes you don't hear from a player for a while. It's funny, we were talking about Facebook, and you always say this, Coach Jenkins, being a Coach Wooden disciple, and his readings, you remind me of this. You reminded me of this many times as I was frustrated with where we were and what we were getting out of our young people at the time. But it's what they learn 10 years later that's going to be the difference. That's when it's really going to matter, what they get out of this 10 years from now. And it's, I just got a call from a kid that I coached at Buffalo State, 14, 15 years ago, saying how special of an experience it was, and the words that she used to describe me as a coach were very flattering. And you never know the impact that you have on these kids. Now, I'm sure she didn't feel like that when I was getting on her and forcing her on the line. And she's a supermodel, and she used to always complain about I made her run so much that it was messing up her pretty feet. But I guess it didn't hurt her too badly. But these kids, we have an opportunity to play a positive role in their lives and in their development. And I take that very seriously and hope that I can continue to have positive relationships with every kid I coach. And some kids you talk to more than others, but I love every kid I've ever coached. Every kid I've ever coached, it hasn't been easy. There's been conflicts with probably more than less. But that's the nature of developing and pushing and coaching young people, and I expect to be able to do that for a while and continue to develop as I get older, better relationships with the kids I coach today.
Your players just don't understand how competitive you are, how driven you are to be successful. Not necessarily in wins and losses, but successful in life. So hopefully these individuals that you coach now understand it. But if not, 10 years from now, they will get the message. They're talking about being competitive and competitive greatness. Fortunate enough to be your assistant coach, and I love being your assistant coach, by the way, Coach Batchelor. Talk about your immediate family a little bit. Who's competitive in your household besides you, with Mrs. Batchelor, Trey, and Tierra?
Probably Tierra. Tierra is very Tierra is very spunky. She's a fighter. She wants to be great at everything she does. She just texted me her report card. It was she got a 4.0. She has straight A's, and I'm very encouraged by that because I know she has to work very hard to do that. Her brother is he's a little low key. He's more like his mom. He doesn't take anything too serious, too hard. I love his disposition. I mean, he's wanted to be his own man, and it's great, and I like what he stands for. But my daughter is the one, she's very competitive. She's a dancer, and she's very, very competitive, and I challenge her a lot, and we fight a lot with that challenge. Her and I are probably more alike, so there's a lot of challenging and fighting going on between her and myself, but she would probably be the one that is the most, most competitive than anyone else in the household, including probably myself.
And being your assistant coach, I'm very fortunate enough to know your family, knowing you're from Buffalo, New York, knowing your mother, Miss Thornton, your nieces and nephews, and your two brothers, Dorian and I call him Big Mike.
Ronnie.
Ronnie, yeah, baby Ronnie. Talk about how competitive it was growing up in your household with your brothers.
First of all, my mother. My mother's very tough woman. She got married at 15. She was pregnant with me, and that my mom and dad didn't stay together very long because he was 16, she was 15. Just that challenge of that, but she was just committed to us being, to us developing men. As a young woman, and she took us out to the basketball court and dropped us off and told us, in a tough neighborhood, and said, handle yourself. And she would leave, and we thought she left, but she would go around the corner, or she would have somebody there watching out for us because we were the only ones there, and we lived in a real tough neighborhood. And we had to stand. It was just my brother and I. We had no uncles. We had no older cousins. I was the first grandchild, so it was just my brother and I, who was 11 months. We're only 11 months apart. And that's where the competitive, he and I, we still are very, very competitive. We still fight, we still fight at 48, 47 years old, two grown old men. We were constantly challenging each other. My younger brother, he's a competitor as well. He coaches, but he's a little more low-key than we are. But between my brother and I, there's always a challenge, always a fight.
Now, we can't leave without, talking a little bit about your home state or home city, Buffalo, New York. Talk about how competitive it was on the courts growing up playing basketball there.
It was Buffalo's a different city. It's a steel mill city with no steel mills anymore. It's one of them tough, cold, hard little cities. It's not very big. People think, they say it's New York. It's not New York. It's Buffalo. It's very, very unique, and it's a place where you have to. We say all the time, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. But the courts was really, really challenging. We played I was just talking to my brother last night. We were talking about it, talking about the difference in watching. I was telling him about the game I had watched here and the kids and the mentality and the attitudes. And we traveled all over the city. We played everywhere. We played at any park. We went to anywhere where they said they were playing. We went. We didn't do a whole lot of studying because we were too busy going around and playing all the time.
Students of your craft.
The students of the craft. And we studied enough to be eligible. That was the whole thing. Basketball was our life, and so we really played everywhere. We played against grown men a lot. That was the other thing we talked about, the competitiveness. We didn't have AAU, so we had to play on the courts. And on the courts, you would play, and there might be 20 people on the sideline. So when you lost, you didn't play for an hour. You didn't play. You may didn't play anymore that night. So it was tough, but it was clean. It was a tough fight every time you stepped on the floor because people wanted to remain on the court, and you had to win. So it was very challenging, very tough, and playing against grown men at the same time that did not take any mercy on you. And that really, to me, helped develop a lot of toughness in us as young people, where I think our kids don't get that today. Everything is so organized. They play AAU games. They play at 11. They lose. They have another game at 3. Their mom go get some lunch and a Gatorade, and then they're ready to play again, and they go back to the hotel. And the hotel, we never stayed at a hotel until I went to my first family reunion when I was 13 years old. I mean, these kids are experiencing things that they're given so much, and it's so challenging sometimes to coach that because we grew up where we had to take and work so hard to get any little thing, and our kids are in a different thing now. So I appreciate my lifestyle. I look at my kids sometimes, and I think I'm a little afraid. I look at Trey, I look at Tierra, 13 years old with an iPhone, and like she really needs an iPhone, and 16 years old, they get a car, and like he really can't walk to school, and so those type of things that help build us to be the people we are, our kids are not getting, and it's society. It's a different day. It's a different time. But I think that I would not trade that lifestyle that I had growing up in Buffalo for anywhere. I think it's the greatest city in the world, and I think that I can understand when people say, "Oh, it's the pits, it's a terrible place." Yeah, to you it may be, but it's home to me, and I respect anyone like yourself, being a DC native, who loves where they're from, and to me that says a lot about an individual.
Thank you, Coach Batchelor. Thank you for your time, and thank you for being on Jammin with Jenks. We appreciate everything you've shared, all the information that you've given us today. Hopefully, a lot of people in the community have learned a little bit more about you, and they'll come out to support you and your team and your program this season. All right? On that note, one other question before we leave, though. How's your Buffalo Bills doing?
I thought I was going to get out of here without you bringing that up, because I might toss it back as a little better than them Redskins. But we're fighting. We're fighting I like what the commentator said the other day after we took a tough loss at home against Kansas City. The commentator, I was listening to him because I was looking for something to feel better about, and he said the NFL is a week-to-week league. So we played tomorrow night on national TV. It's a big game for us because normally we don't play well on national TV. We're about as bad as Cincinnati Bengals on national TV. So I'm hoping that we can play well, represent our city, and come and continue to build on from there. But week to week, we want to get better. And as long as we have one more win than the Redskins, your team, then I won't feel as bad going out of the season.
We're making strides. We're getting better day by day. And thank you for being in Hawk Country. You're at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. You was with me, Coach Jenkins, assistant coach women's basketball, along with my guest, Fred Batchelor, along with Tyler Smith and Doug Newton. Thank you. And remember, a calm sea doesn't make a skilled sailor. Goodbye, everybody. Take care.